Hey guys, it's your course director Emily Ray here. Just wanted to give you a little bit of positive, productive feedback on your text-based resume submissions. I'm going to go through each one of them one at a time and comment on a few of the things that I see. Now, as I am providing a critique of these resumes, it really behooves you to watch this entire review, not just the one that is dedicated to your resume. There is certainly so much that we can learn from the choices, both opportunities and challenges in the designs that you'll see here. Just to start out, I want you guys to be thinking about whether or not there's a clear connection between the skills and experiences that you've listed in the media communications industry. As I start this review, I'm making a broad assumption that you all want to get jobs within this field. So as I'm providing that that critique, please keep that in mind, that that is the context of what I'm choosing, to offer back to you, is that I am assuming that you eventually want to get a job with this degree, media communications. Also, when you're talking about the things that you have done in the past, being sure to note not just sort of what your responsibilities are or what the job description says your responsibilities are, but what was your unique contribution in that role? What were your accomplishments? How did you make a signature impact that only you can make? If your resume is spilling over onto more than one page, I encourage you to consider how you can edit the text, maybe using more consolidated or streamlined language so that it fits onto a single page. If you've been in the industry for over 10 years and you've had that long of a career already, certainly a two-page resume is understandable. But if you're first starting out, you definitely want to keep it to that first page. Employers are going to spend maybe 10 to 12 seconds scanning your resume to decide whether or not they want to take you to the next step in the hiring process. Also, be sure to spell check your resume. So in addition to spell check, I encourage you to have somebody who is going to proofread it, because a human eye is needed to catch when a word has been omitted or misused in the wrong context. So definitely have a trusted friend or family member also read this, just to comment on the flow. And then last but not least, your resume is certainly a living, breathing document. You'll want to keep it updated as regularly as you can, because you just never really know when an opportunity is going to arise and you want that latest and greatest version of your resume. Also of note is that anytime you apply for a job, you're going to have to customize this resume so that it, most closely aligns with the job description for the position that's posted. So to the extent that this is flexible, it's scalable, and that you can add to it, I think that that's going to serve you well moving forward. So we're going to start off here with Ricky's. So you've applied a little bit of style to it, which is great. We can kind of see these headings and subheadings. It makes it a little bit easier to scan. And that's something that's important for employers who, again, are going to be looking at this really quickly. I see that you have the objective to use your skills and experience to benefit a company's goals and gain experience in a new work environment. None of this is media specific, so if you do want to get into this field, you might want to add some specificity there. Highlights of qualifications and skills, that seems kind of like a long heading, especially since you're using just single words here. I might just go ahead and call this qualifications. Just to kind of stick with that single word label. Scrolling down, I'm not sure if this period is necessary at the end of present. So we can see that you've got a number of different positions here, from being a technician and working with products and installers. So you've got a pretty diverse background here, and one that is going back to about 4 years, which is great. There's some kind of interesting line breaks, right? So I'm not sure if these are meant to be just statements or bullet points because they don't have any punctuation. So if they are supposed to be bullet points, you want to go ahead and add, that designation here just to make that a bit more clear. Also curious as to this like double date range here. It seems like that's doubled up. Not sure if that's purposeful or not. You might be able to get all of this on one page just by getting rid of this space and moving it up. I'm not sure, so I'm looking at sort of the web-based rendering of Microsoft Word documents, and I know that sometimes the formatting gets wonky there, so I'm not going to spend too much time and attention because it's likely that you didn't mean for this to display this way as I'm seeing it here on my page. Under education and certifications, I would say that at this point, because you do have some college, you don't really need to share your high school experience there. So I would do anything post-secondary at this point. Overall, this is great, but again, I want you to pay attention to these points over here that I highlighted, making sure that, is there a clear connection between these skills and experiences that you've shared and the jobs that you want to get moving forward. Next up, we've got Kirsten, if I'm saying that right. Christian. I am so sorry about that. You've kind of stumped me a little bit. But looking at your resume here, you definitely have some places that you're going to, be expanding in the future. We've got your objective. And so here again, you want to seek a public relations position. So that's industry specific. And when you talk about how you're going to leverage your skills in problem solving, communications, and success. So we've got your summary of qualifications here. Let's see here. I know that I, in the last review, said that, this multi-word heading was a bit not in line with Ricky's other headings, but that's because he used one-word headings. Here, you do a little bit longer with professional experience, education, training, so that seems like it fits in a little bit more there. So you've given me these nice, very sort of wordy descriptions of your qualifications. So, you've got your background in public relations, media knowledge, communication skills. A lot of this is soft skills. I don't see any of your computer skills, right? So at this point, you certainly know how to use, you stated here, so skilled in a variety of computer programs in analysis and presentation. You want to include the names of the software and programs that you are familiar with because those types of technical skills are attractive to employers, and those kinds of designations are keyword-rich content. So potentially they could flag, your resume as one of interest for a potential employer who's looking for someone with skills like yours. So certainly there is a lot that needs to be added to this, right? So we've got your education and training, which is great. So we've got, just your college level experience here, which is great, and your anticipated graduation date, which is awesome. I also want to, in this conversation about your resume, again, remind you guys that you do have a career development advisor dedicated to MCBS that while they won't, be taking on long appointments with you, you can certainly contact them at this point for help with resume resources and writing as well, ways that you can basically learn to articulate your skills and experience even if you don't have anything professionally at this point. What I would say is that maybe look for school experience or academic experience that you can add here. Have you worked on any long-term projects for friends or family that you can highlight and that shows your skills and how you're applying them out there in the field? Next up, we've got Stephanie. So again, I think as I scroll down and see the formatting of this, I'm looking at this in the web-based version of Word, so it's you probably didn't design it this way, and so I'm not going to comment and make a lot of suggestions about the layout because I'm sure that it's kind of rendering in a way that it's not supposed to for me here. I'm just going to comment on the content, the text-based stuff. We've got your skills, so you let us know that you're, you've got skills in these areas here. I might lump together the computer skills and so that they're all together because it seems like Spanish being right there in the middle. You wouldn't want someone to miss that because it's a really important skill. So here we have your academic experience. So this looks like your course listings, right? So, and then these would be basically what you did in that class. Okay, so I see what you've got going on here, basically kind of showcasing what you've learned through these individual classes. Scrolling down, related experience, it says here that you are a career development advisor, so that's awesome. You know a lot about this stuff then. And so in developing this resume, you've listed here not just your the things from the job description, but also what your responsibilities are here. So again, one of the things that I want to note is, not just what you're assigned, but what you are striving for, to be successful in this role. So you said here that you create an excellent student and graduate experience. That's awesome. Is there any way that you can quantify that? Is there a testimonial? Is there some sort of research that has analytics, that you can point to show that or to prove that idea? Scrolling down. Okay, so that's it. So you've started with a good little bit of content here. I would like to maybe know what's the progression from working in career development and to moving on in the media communications industry. And then once you kind of make that clear or are able to articulate that, you can start to phrase the rest of this resume in a way that's in support of searching for jobs in that area. All right, next up we have, there we go. All right, so we've got Nicole's. Just a really big bold heading here. Again, like there was no requirement for you guys to style this, but I appreciate you sort of dabbling in that area. And, if you're just coming from editing for the web, you're learning about things like that F-shaped pattern and how people tend to scan for information using headings, subheadings, and bulleted lists. And then that way, that it jumps out to an eye that is scanning the page. So here we've got your objective. So you're a college student working towards a degree in media communications. So I would ask, to what extent do you want to use your media communications degree? Do you know this at this point? There's a good part of this, you guys, that it might just be that you're not quite sure yet. It's very early on still here in the media communications program at the Port 3 stop. And so I encourage you, as you continue to work through these types of self-discovery exercises, to be asking yourself, what kind of job will I be applying for? What kind of job do I want to apply for? When I see those jobs posted and they ask for skills and experience, does that match with what I have? And if the answer is no, what do I need to do to get those skills and experiences prior to graduating so that I can apply for those jobs? So here we've got your education and training. So we've got what looks like some retail here at CVS. You gave the sort of responsibilities or the tasks in that role, which is great, but not a lot of this is media related. It shows that you're a hard worker and that you have maintained a job for quite some time, which is great. But is there anything that you can tease out of your experience that has to do with that? And if the answer is no, I would then ask, is there anything else that you're doing to get real world experience in the media communications industry? Are you volunteering anywhere? Are you working on any types of projects for friends and family? These are all things that can be articulated in a way to show that you are in fact doing the work. So here we've got your skills, just noting some software skills and then just some particular programs such as Photoshop, Final Cut, and Excel. So all this looks good. There's certainly quite a bit here yet to add. I want you to be thinking about that connective tissue, right? Like the connective tissue between this is the this is the skeleton of my skills and experience, and to put the meat on the bones with upcoming plans to gain the experience you need to get that job that you want. It starts though with knowing where you want to go and what you want to do. So continue to develop those ideas and get more focused in on who you want to be in media communications. Next up we have Denise. So you are a marketing professional with extensive experience in these areas. You've got quite a summary of qualifications here. This is a lot of really good keyword-rich content. Just looking at your resume here. So you are a marketing coordinator and you do a lot of really dynamic things in that role. This is, again, great keyword-rich content. Aside from what you are responsible for or what you're tasked with, what are you doing to make a signature impact in that role? Are there areas that you can highlight with your success and things that only you can do or only you can provide in that role? So here we have that you are self-employed. I would go ahead and maybe not just say self-employed, but what is the industry here? Like, what is the work that you are doing? It seems like I, might be able to discern that through, these responsibilities here, or these tasks that you do within that role. But again, if I'm scanning this, right, I'm looking to see what's in this area, and then if this flags my attention, then I'll go ahead and start to read this in more detail there. So I would just recommend, you've got some social media experience and some, some additional marketing. Again, your resume is chock full of a lot of really great things. And because you've been in the industry so long, I do feel like, a 2-page resume is warranted, certainly at this point. It's cool to see that you've got your certifications and all of, the technology. And I can appreciate that you have listed these out in terms of automation, project management, social media, etc., and then all of the more technical programs down here. You have plenty to work with, and just again be thinking about, you want to continue to work in marketing. So how can I continue to curate the information on this resume that gives the fullest picture of what my skills and experiences make me capable of? So last but not least, we have Brianna. So here we have an objective, strong conceptual thinking, creative perspective, translating business objectives into vision. So like this is all pretty, conceptual language. I would encourage you to maybe be a bit more direct, if you can, with where you want to make an impact. This could probably be applied to any job. I don't know if you want to be that sort of broad in the objective of what it is that you want to do. So we've got your education here. Again, if you have some college, definitely include that. And if you have high school experience, then you could leave it out at that point. So here we have your professional experience, that you are the owner and curator of this clothing line or shop, which is great. That you intern and do photography and learn with textiles and operations of the company, and then freelance work. Now that's something we haven't seen yet on any of these resumes, but I high five you for the inclusion of that here, because in addition to the work that you're doing for others, you're going out and getting clients on your own, which shows a lot of initiative and the ability to manage multiple projects. So you've got your skills down here. There's a lot of great information that you're sharing. So again, looking at this, it might seem that you want to do something fashion related or stylist related. So maybe your objective has something to do with that, or maybe it doesn't. But I encourage you to get a bit more focused on the types of work that you are trying to seek with your media communications degree. So again, you guys, the big picture here is that this is a work in progress. The objective of this assignment was to get you to start to write these things out, but then to also learn from what your peers have shared. You might think, oh, I could add this or that, I could add that, because you've taken a look at the other submissions. Also, not just thinking about what your responsibilities were in that role, but what your accomplishments were as well. Spell checking, checking the formatting of your document. Again, I don't know, there was some wonky formatting in the ways that I'm seeing it here on my screen. The assumption is that is just the way it's rendering in the Word version of these documents. But so obviously you want to make it look as visually appealing as possible. And keep adding to this, guys. You never know when that next opportunity is coming up. If you guys have any questions about the feedback that's been provided here, please let me know.